Hi friends, where is the best place to loot on World's Edge in Apex Legends? I'm going to show you exactly where all of the best loot zones are on World's Edge in Apex Legends Season 9. I'll explain why these should not just influence where the best place to drop is, but also how you should rotate on World's Edge. And I feel like this is the perfect time to do a video on the best places to loot and drop, because World's Edge is the ranked map for this split. And we also haven't seen World's Edge for the whole of last season, which means hopefully this video can help refresh your memory of the best places in World's Edge to drop. But at the same time, these tips can also help you understand how to rotate and where to drop, and in turn, that can help you do a lot better in ranked this season. Let's start by looking at all of the key points of interest on World's Edge. Now I've gone over the map and marked what tiers of loot are available in each area. This map shows you exactly where all the high tier loot areas are in purple, plus the mid tier loot areas in blue and the low tier areas in grey. The red dots on the map indicate where the loot vaults are. As you know, there are 3 loot vaults available on World's Edge. As you can see on World's Edge, we're actually really lucky because most of the areas are high tier loot areas. In fact, World's Edge has the highest percentage coverage of high tier loot areas compared to the other 2 maps. And this is probably one of the reasons why World's Edge feels like a more competitive match, and also the fact that it's used for pro tournaments. Thinking about places to land based on this map, obviously you're more likely to find better loot in high tier areas, but of course that also means other squads are likely to land in these areas. This means you have a decision to make. Do you land in a high tier loot area and have to fight another squad early on, or do you land in a low or mid tier loot area where there are fewer teams but your loot just isn't as good, and that might put you at a disadvantage later in the game? I find it's usually better to land in a high or mid tier loot area. There's really no point landing in a low tier loot area because people that land in a high or mid tier loot area will have better loot than you. So basically, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage straight away. Luckily, on World's Edge there aren't too many low tier loot areas, so you can just avoid these grey areas on the map, which actually tend to be tunnels and underpasses on World's Edge. Like I said in my videos with tips on the other maps, it's good to pick a specific landing area and make sure you and your team constantly land in those same locations. The reason it's good to do this is because you then get used to those areas, and this allows you to loot more quickly and also rotate more quickly. It also gives you the advantage over other teams that land there because you know exactly where all the loot is spread out across those areas, and this can really give you the advantage and help you get some early points in ranked. I would also recommend you pick a few places around the map so that you have a dedicated place to land no matter where the dropship is. In terms of the Soggy squad, there are 4 places we like to land. These are Lava Fissure, the Tree, Dome, and Geyser, or Geyser, depending how you like to pronounce it. We are consistently landing in these locations, and we very rarely land anywhere else, and that means we have a good idea of where the loot is in each of these areas. As a squad, we each pick our buildings in these areas, and we pretty much land in the same building every time, meaning we're not stumbling over each other, and we know exactly where we can grab loot. And it's actually something the pro teams do as well. If you listen to them in the ALGS tournaments, they often talk about how each team has a specific location they like to land in. If we look at the locations the Soggy squad likes to land in, you can see they're all high tier loot areas. And the reason we prefer high tier loot locations are simply because we get better loot. Of course, RNG still plays a role, and if another team lands there, you're not always guaranteed the best weapons before they find them. However, if you can secure that area and beat any other team that lands there, you'll secure some early points but also have good loot for the rest of the game. Another interesting point about where we land is that apart from Tree, you can see the others are near mid-tier locations. Now this is good in theory because it means you'll have better loot than any teams that land in the mid or low tier locations, and this means if you do pick up good loot in that high tier area, you can push these other teams really quickly and you'll have the loot advantage, which means you can secure some early kills and get those early points. So as you can see, understanding where the good loot areas are can really help you decide where to land, but it can also help you decide where to rotate. If you find you don't have good tier loot, then you might want to consider rotating through a high tier loot area to pick up better loot. But if you already have good loot, you then might want to consider pushing into a mid or low tier loot area and take advantage of your better loot to face teams with potentially worse loot than yours. And this is a good strategy for ranked because it can help you secure more of those points early on in the game, and that's why landing near a mid or low tier loot area is a good strategic move. Now, you don't need to land in the same locations that I mentioned me and the Soggy Squad land in, but it's a good idea for you to have a think about which locations you like and focus on landing there as often as possible. It's a small but important factor that can really help you win more games in Apex Legends, and in turn this can help you rank up a lot faster in Apex Legends Season 9. I hope you found this video useful. Check out my Instagram and Twitter if you want to download this loot map that I've shown in this video, because like I've said, it can help guide you on where to land and rotate through World's Edge. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching and for the support. For now though, I'll catch you later.